Hey, good afternoon. This is Rich Hart again. Hey, thank you very much for joining me in another segment, all right, through our real estate, how we build value as a real estate professional. Today, we're going to be talking about what is your time worth? How much would you pay yourself an hour for doing what you do as a real estate professional? We're going to be talking about the time clock and punch card of your business. So I've got a question for you right off the top. What is your time worth? If you would have a proverbial punch clock right next to you every day that you came into work and you were to punch that time card, you would punch in, you were to punch out to the end of the day, and the end of the week itself, you would add up all those hours, and adding those hours themselves, you would pay yourself an hourly or weekly rate. So my question to you is, how much would you pay yourself an hour for doing what you do? Think about this. Your time is worth money. Questions themselves we often raise out there is, how much is the time worth, based upon the fact of how much would you pay yourself an hour to do? So, are you a $10 an hour, $15, maybe $20 an hour real estate professional? Or maybe a little more ambitious. Maybe you're $100 or $200 or maybe perhaps $500 an hour. Or perhaps maybe you just enjoyed the real estate business enough to be a minimum wage real estate professional. Well, I'm not quite sure we got into real estate, all right, to be minimum wage or to obtain or to reach a level of minimum wage for what we do. They told us we could make a lot of money in doing what we do, and so now putting that into application, putting that plan into application, all right, is going to be extremely important. So let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about the skills, the knowledge, perhaps the tools, the techniques that you brought into this business. How about the level of experience or perhaps expertise that you got and that you brought into? After all, you did pass the most hard and toughest multiple choice test to get your real estate license. So how much is your time worth in dealing with the clients and customers and the different types of marketing and items of opportunity and things themselves we can do in our business without sacrificing any sort of service or sacrificing any level or element of managing the level of expectations of our business? I think this is extremely important, okay? Folks, this is what I'm going to say. Before anything else gets started, this is where planning comes into play, all right? The number one reason why individuals themselves don't do as well as they could in our business is, believe it or not, they fail to plan. And that plan itself is going to be extremely important. Not knowing where you want to take this plan going forward and how much your time is worth, I don't want you to spin your wheels. I want you to be productive. I want you to reach levels of productivity and profitability in what you do without sacrificing service. I think it's very important themselves that we run our business like a business, day in and day out. And really starting to map out how much our time worth, how much your time is worth, is extremely important. You know, here's an example for you. Every file, every client that I work with, I think it's extremely important that I keep a running note of tab of time. Not that I'm going to say, I'm going to get to a particular point in time and I'm going to say, okay, your time is over. You're going to cut your service. I'm over my budget for your particular file and I'm not going to be able to help you no more. No, not at all. But it helps with the managing a level of expectations when it comes down to planning for our business, which I think is extremely important because it really gets us into identifying what the level of productivity and profitability is going to be for our business going forward. So think about this. You put all this time and skills and knowledge, tools and techniques. You passed the multiple choice test, okay? But you didn't plan on how you're going to utilize your time wisely. I want to see everybody do very, very well. There's statistics out there and individuals themselves love to work with you, all right? 9 out of 10 people will work with you in the future, but only 1 in 10 do. Well, there's various reasons for that. All right, or perhaps the level of engagement that you bring in, the level of communication that you bring in. This all takes time. And within the time, I think it's very important. That's why I go back to each one of my files. And I jot down exactly how much time I've spent with those particular clients. And then at the end of the transaction, I'm adding that up, dividing it down by what my check is telling me that I received from my commissions after everything is all said and done. And now what I can do is I can now come back and say, okay, was I productive and profitable in this transaction? I think that's very important. I think, even building certain relationships as we go through, okay? I like to run a premise themselves with my buyers. Now, my buyers are extremely important, whether they're first time or continue, or maybe they're baby boomers themselves on second homes and things of this nature. I educate my clients. I think the education process is going to be extremely important going forward because there's a time and dollar associated to the education. But one of the practices and principles themselves that I relate myself to, is especially when I'm working with buyers, is that working with the relationship of show 5, sell 1. Not that I'm going to take any additional time. If they want to see more than 5 homes, that's okay. But with the amount of time and homework and what I'm going to do to provide the level of expertise and experience based upon my knowledge and what I know about my farming area, my farming communities, or the related area is going to be extremely important. And the more we bring into that, all right, the better it's going to be. And so when I go back into the files and I start going through the file and say, okay, in this file, I was able to maximize my time or increase the benefit. All right, it's really matching up to the particular point. Was I productive or profitable in this transaction? Okay, because what I'm doing, folks, believe it or not, I'm gauging, all right, my process, all right, my plan, and each one of my clients. Now, you know as well as I do, every one of my clients themselves has a different plan. Every one of your clients has a different plan. And how we engage, how we manage the level of that expectation of that plan is going to be extremely important. All right, so think about that. If I was actually working with my buyers themselves and I say, show 5, sell 1, and I tell them my buyers that, and they laugh hysterically. So, well, I'm only going to see 5 homes. But if we're doing our homework correctly, and we know our areas, we know the tools, all right, that we're working with, all right, designs around RPR and the MLSs and everything else we're working with, okay? And if we're working with the details we know it actually, basically what we can do is we can map out a strategy. All right, think about this. What's your time worth is based on planning and strategizing. And what you're able to put into the mix that's going to give you the dynamics of working with these individuals going forward. All right, and really maximizing what? The output from, if it's a buyer's perspective, or really managing the expectations themselves of the end game. And so what I like to do is give my clients a full plan, full detailed plan. And like I said before, it's very funny when I give it to them, they go, so we're going to show you 5 homes and you're going to buy 1. Some people get a little angry with me, but hey, what it is we're really starting to maximize and dial down what it is truly that the client wants to see and what they expect. If I can help manage my expectations of my time and managing the expectations of my client, I've noticed it becomes very, very successful in the base of the transaction on both sides. And I've noticed themselves in my transactions, I've been cutting my time. Folks, I got to keep in mind, okay, I'm at all my inspections, I'm at all my closings. All right, and I'm there pretty much 24/7 if they need me. All right, I tell them not to dial me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but lo and behold, if there are any questions, I'm coming into them as an educator of the process. And I believe that's where a lot of agents may be missing it. Folks, we're educators, and our job is to really give them the skills, knowledge, tools, the details of how this process works. And if we can give them all the details of how the process works, we can really start to maximize what our time is worth. So think about your process. Think about your plan. Think about how you're going to engage with your clients going forward. We have some new changes coming up in 2021. Real estate perspective may change a little bit. But I think even more importantly is how we plan and how we start to develop what the relationship of our time is worth. If we can now start to figure out what our time is worth, it now makes it more beneficial to the transaction. And folks, like I said, tell you one thing is that a lot of individuals, when they come into my offices, they come into studios and they ask about this, we ask them about planning. We ask them about what's the strategy, what's the end game, what is the particular position or goal that you want to accomplish. And once we get to that goal itself, gives us the opportunity to plan out. And then basically what I do is I start to tie the dollar amount in it. Now, do I take every client? No, definitely not. Okay, because that would be wrong. But in a particular situation itself, okay, I want you to be productive. I want you to be profitable in what you do. And think about the planning and how this golden objective is really going to set the sights on what it is that you want to accomplish as a real estate professional going forward. So, What is your time worth? I can't tell you that. What's your time worth is what you're willing to put in, what you're willing to get out of it, and what the end game, the golden objective is going to be for you as a real estate professional. Because I know this is one profession, all right, that if you're listening to this now, we're all going to be in for a long, long time. So, thank you very much for joining me. My name is Rich Hart. If you need additional questions or comments themselves or items themselves that we can help you out with, all right, please feel free to dial us 888-966-0878, or you can also reach us at info@richhart.com. That's info@richhart.com. We'd love to help you, all right, because we're engaged in really bridging the gaps for productivity and profitability in your world as a real estate professional. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.